Welcome back to Quaranteaching. I'm Maria,
I'm Tim.
and we are excited to have a very special guest with us today.
Yeah, our guest today is a gentleman that I've known for 33, 34 years. He's also, Maria has known him for about the past 10 years or so. Isaiah Davis, he was also happened to be the best man at our wedding. And I am one of the only people I think he's ever left the country for. So, Isaiah, it's great to have you. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody what do you do for your job there, sir?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. That is a true statement, by the way. The only person I have left the country for is that man right there, Mr. Tim Harris. Scared to leave America. I am a school counselor at Metea Valley High School, which is in District 204. I've been in the district for going on my 10th year, and I'm also happening to be the head boys basketball coach there at Metea.
We are elementary teachers, and so one of the things we wanted to talk to you about is what it's been like at the high school level, and obviously you're a guidance counselor, so you have how many kids on your caseload?
Yeah, so I have this year I have about 330 kids on my caseload. Which is a little less because at the school that at Metea, we happened to add a couple counselors this year because they really had high caseloads there. So 330 kids on the caseload, which, in itself presents challenges, but in the same token, it's great because I get to work with so many different types of kids, right, from all type of different backgrounds and things like that. And during this shutdown that we've been on with school with remote learning, it's really been interesting as a counselor to work with kids in a variety of different ways.
Take us through a day or a week. What was that like through remote learning, being that high school counselor?
Yeah, so obviously the beginning was just an adjustment for everyone, right? Everybody's like, man, what are we doing? This is wild, right? Like, this is wild. But one thing in our district where I feel like our students had a decent advantage and it helped some of our teachers is we were already one-to-one. All of our students had Chromebooks that they were able to, use at home, which helped. Now, doesn't mean that all students had, internet connection at home, but we were able to get hotspots for those students. So once we were able to get all of that under control, because the key with education is you want all students to be able to have equal access and the ability to do the work, right? And so once we felt like all of our students were able to be engaged, it really started to be as smooth as possible. Now, from a counselor's perspective, I have an interesting job, right? Because I work closely with administration, I work closely with the parents, the students, and the teachers, right? And so for me, I get, I work from all different angles. I can tell you a couple things. What's funny is in remote learning, what stayed consistent was this. Students who typically were really good students, did a really good job, had A's, B's, whatever. Typically, those students were the ones who were still, engaged in doing their work, even though the governor's mandate and even our district followed was, grades could only go up, they couldn't go down. And so we already had students who had straight A's, right? So if you're a high school kid and you have straight A's and you're like, oh, well, it can't go down, why would I do work? Well, we had a lot of those kids still doing their work. I will say some of our students who, were struggling academically or things of that nature, at times it could be a little difficult to reach them remotely, right? They were struggling to be engaged during the regular school. So now that you took them out, it was hard at times to engage with some of them. Some of them I was like, oh man, maybe we need to, do a wellness check. And then all of a sudden, oh man, then they would respond, But for those students, I have found it, it's been a little bit more difficult to connect with them. At the high school level, we have so many students that have different responsibilities at home that, typical, like younger kids in the elementary school, you wouldn't see, but at the high school level, some of them are responsible for parenting their younger sibling because, maybe they had a parent that was working during COVID still. And so we had to be very creative with that because we didn't want to penalize How's it fair that to hold a kid accountable when he has to watch 2 or 3 younger siblings, and then another kid could be just, having the responsibilities of their own.
Did you come up with any strategies or any advice that you would maybe give to a high school teacher as far as ways to approach or handle maybe the less engaged student for remote learning? Because unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the last time that we're going to do this.
When you're looking at trying to get students caught back up or at least try to get them engaged in a class, sometimes you have to pare down the information. So where, let's say a student was missing 10 to 12 assignments, okay? If you go ahead and send that student and say, hey, I need you to do these 10 to 12 assignments, they're going to shut down. They didn't do it in the first place. What makes you think they're going to do 10 to 12 at one time? Not going to happen. Let's be real. And so what a lot of our teachers did was they pared down that, right? And they said, man, meet me. If you just do these 4 assignments, I can get you to passing. All of a sudden, that engagement we started to see take place, right? Because students saw like, man, I have an opportunity now to get my grade to passing if I do these essential assignments to get me where I need to be. So I felt like our teachers did a fantastic job of figuring out what was essential and important for the students to have to know, grow, and develop, right? And still feel like it still met the integrity of the course to warrant them to get the credit. And so once we pared that stuff down, man, our kids really met it. And we were able to get just about, I would say we were able to get 98. I haven't ran the final data on that, but I would say we're about 98 to 98.5% of our students completed all of their work to get at least credit, okay? So we're only tracking down a few kids that we're going to be working with throughout the summer to try to get them, their credit as we go into the fall semester.
As a guidance counselor, obviously one of your big roles is getting those seniors off to college, helping them with their applications, scholarships, and all that. So when this happened mid-March, obviously some of those seniors probably already had their college plans ready to go. But there's probably some that didn't, maybe even some that were waiting on like a spring sports season to happen, which obviously didn't happen. So how did you support those kids who still needed that help deciding on a college or maybe still filling out an application, and where are they at now?
Yeah, when we got locked down March 13th, 90 to 93% of our students were already signed, sealed, delivered for the most part. They knew they had an idea to where they were going, okay? We had some students who were waiting to take that spring test, okay? They were gonna look to take the SAT in the spring to see if they get a little bit higher score, right? But obviously that ended up getting canceled. But I'll start, I can answer this so many different ways, so I'm just gonna try to make this as clear as possible. For our seniors who were not sure where they were gonna go, what we did as counselors was we sent out a thing to all of our seniors. So I did a blast to all 82 seniors on my caseload. Okay, hey, where are you at? Where are we at with college? What do you need? How can I support you? So on and so forth, right? I heard back from all of my kids, and the ones who needed still, some guidance and all that, we were able still remotely, I was able to get their transcripts out. I was able to do letters of recommendations for them. I was able to help them with any type of scholarships that they needed sent out to schools. And colleges obviously have been also really accommodating because they were shut down too. Hey, we all were in the same boat. We all were in the same boat, people. No one was going nowhere. No one was going to school anywhere. Everyone was in the same boat together, right? So I'm like, all right, so let's make this boat as enjoyable as we can all together. All the schools, they did a great job of being test optional, right? The colleges, so they necessarily, if you had a certain GPA or things like that, they're like, we'll waive the test. We know that maybe you didn't get a chance to take another test, right? That's some of the things we saw. AP testing, which is really big for seniors and juniors, that got canceled obviously at what it initially was supposed to look like in May. And so they made adjustments and they made it 45-minute tests for students where it covered the first 3 quarters of the school year. And so we still had students able to take their AP exams. It was something that College Board ended up making it, possible for students to still do that. So students still had a chance to earn credit before they went into college, so they did not lose that opportunity. So I would say all in all, for the most part, our seniors still are going to be able to go wherever their plan was for that fall. We were able to keep that train going. Okay. Now, what does the fall look like? I don't know. They got to wait to see what what each school, state, whatever, it's probably all going to look different. But our students were at least able to receive their final transcripts. They were able to, we were able to get all their stuff sent to the schools. So we were able to make that as smooth as possible for our seniors.
Along with being a guidance counselor, Isaiah is also the head boys basketball coach. And obviously that your season, we get to finish your season. But the spring is, not just a time for you to kick back and relax. It's obviously a time for you to be planning for next year and planning your summer and getting guys, your next team ready. How did that look for 2 months? I mean, as an assistant coach, I kind of know what that I was like, but my role as an assistant is completely different than, I'm not running a program, thank goodness. But you are, so, you're running a program and again, managing kids, coaches, parents, I'm sure. What was that like for you?
Yeah. So, I went through all type of stages of like grief. I swear I did, right? It first started when they said NBA shut down. I'm like, NBA shut down. I said, oh man, I think I called you. Oh, we're in trouble. Then next thing I know, they shut down the NCAA tournament. I'm like, well, they shut down the NCAA tournament. I ain't coaching no basketball, right? So as all that happened, I'm like, okay, what's this gonna look like? What are we gonna do? I have been working on different type of skills for them to work on virtually. I'm looking at putting team lead for each of their groups, just to try to hold each other accountable. I'll be tracking their work and their data of what they're doing. So we're just trying to keep them busy and interactive, trying to still get them to play the game, right? Because we don't know what next year's going to look like yet. We're losing all this time. We're waiting to hear from the state, as you are aware, since you coach as well, to hear if we can do anything in July. I'm hoping that we're able to at least do something in July, to at least try to see my kids and my players. But I stay in good communication with them. I try to keep our Twitter account updated just to let people know about what information is out there. But for me, this has been kind of trying, right? Because I got to balance, okay, trying to be there for my student athletes. Some of them got different things going on in their world, but then also wanting them to be involved with, hey man, I need you to shoot the basketball, man. I need guys who can make shots, And so just trying to balance all of those things is just,
All right. Well, I really appreciate you joining us and shedding some light on this whole situation from not only the high school aspect, but also from the guidance counselor aspect and the coaching aspect.
Isaiah, thanks a lot for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to, shed some insight to what life is like at the high school level for our kids, and give me the opportunity to also talk about some basketball. And hey, if my players are watching, shoot the basketball, shoot the basketball and dribble the basketball. That's all I ask. But no, thank you guys for having me.